You have to let it all go, Neo. Fear, doubt, and disbelief. Free your mind.
Hey! We're recording the podcast! Shut up!
Good morning to you wherever you are, because it is a morning somewhere. 44424. My name is Bernie Burns, sitting right over there, 10-4, good buddy. Ashley Burns, how you doing, Ash?
No, 4-4, please.
4424. You know, I should probably say at some point, I was just talking about this with somebody the other day. I think it's okay to say this at this point, that the drop that is at the beginning of every theme song, the shut up and record the podcast on the burka at the end, I re-recorded those.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you wanted them to be
Inspired by.
Yes, distinct recordings. This is Taylor's version.
This is what? What's Taylor's version?
Taylor, that's Taylor Swift re-recorded some albums because someone else owned the masters, and so she went and re-recorded the albums and re-released them as Taylor's version. You know about this. Of course you know about this.
Yeah, but Ashley, you're saying now I have something in common with Taylor Swift. I didn't make the connection between me and the billionaire pop star, ... You know who.
Well, you've also got some nice
Big day for me. It's
also
a big
got
day.
some nice gams, so you two have that in common.
It took so long to re-record that and get it right. How many times do you think I was up here, like, just screaming?
Oh, like hours. You lost your voice and then had to
I did.
and then had to rest it and recover your voice and then try again. Also, have you noticed, Bernie, that a certain 4-year-old who lives in this house he's picked it up, and he now just occasionally randomly shouts, "Hey, we're recording a podcast. Shut up."
Yeah, it's great.
It is the cutest thing.
It's pretty cute.
I feel like we should record him at some point, but as soon as I record him and he knows that he's being recorded, everything changes.
When we get a stretch goal for the Patreon, we'll have him record the intro someday.
Okay.
I'm not doing stretch goals like that, but we'll just have him do it someday. Doesn't matter. Ashley, I'm so excited. I'm so excited without knowing anything. They're making a new Matrix movie.
Oh, just what everyone was asking for, especially after the success, both critically and commercially, of The Matrix 4.
Just when I thought I was out, they made a second movie. I was still out. They made a third movie, completely out. They made a fourth movie. I was like, what? Then they made a fifth movie. And I was like, I'm back. I'm back. I got it. I'm so excited.
This is another one of those great examples where the initial offering was so strong and so unique, both like in terms of visuals and presentation and the story it was telling and the world it was building, that it's carried it through. Nothing else standing up to that level.
If I may, as a movie, the first Matrix movie, perfect. Perfect.
It was, can I tell you something?
Such a good movie. Such a good movie.
I don't think I've told you this before, but I went to my senior prom Matrix style.
Wait.
I wore wait.
You can't just like drop that on me.
Not like this.
You gotta prep me a little bit. So let me see if I can figure out what this was. Did you went to your senior prom dressed as Trinity?
Sort of. I wore like black sparkly dress and sunglasses.
Did you wear the little sunglasses, like the little like goth?
They were
steampunk.
They were a little wrap
inside
around
the Matrix one.
No,
yeah.
they're kind of wrap around sunglasses, and then
what like the Terminator?
Stayed for, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes and then pissed off to a LAN party across the street.
Oh my God. I married the biggest dork in the world. Oh my God. Did you really do that? Do you have pictures of it?
I do not. I'll bet.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I would imagine that my mom's got pictures.
I'm texting you.
They've got to be, or you know what, they might be in storage at my dad's house or something. They exist. I just don't know where they are.
Can I say something that I've never said before?
Maybe.
I find the fact that your family calls the WhatsApp group chat the family chat, that's very presumptive.
Every family calls their family chat. The problem is that we've got like
my side of the family does not do that.
Family chats.
We have very specific. This is literally called family chat. I
Isn't
just
it
think
also
it's very
called Family
presumptive.
Chat LOL with like a winky funny emoji?
I also had a weird thing. I wonder if anyone else has ever had this. For some reason, I typed the word Utah in there a lot, mainly because we're coming to see them. We're coming to Utah. I went through a weird period of time where the word Utah would autocorrect to all capitals, and I don't know why. I have no idea why it got it in its head that Utah should be in all caps.
I think that your autocorrect specifically, like your specific Siri or whatever, your ghost in that particular machine,
I got a problem.
She's trolling you. You constantly have issues with autocorrect capitalizing things or refusing to use the right version of that word or changing it. And we're not talking
like this.
and we're not talking like ducking. We're talking about like just normal stuff that
Yeah.
should not be that hard.
The weirdest thing I have is I flew on a BA flight, British Airways, at one point, and I connected to the Wi-Fi. Now, for the rest of my life, the first thing my Wi-Fi connects to is the BA Wi-Fi.
Even
And
if
if I'm like in the middle of a desert, nowhere near a plane, it goes, we can't connect to BA Wi-Fi. And I have deleted that network 50 billion times.
I like to think that it's just overhead at 30,000 feet, there is a BA flight and you're just managing to reach it. It's going to reach out and you're going to touch somebody
I have
on BA.
Very good friend who works at Apple, and I will bring him my problems, and I can tell he no longer wants me to do that. He's like, no, that's okay. You figure it out from now on, because I have such weird specific problems. But yeah, I'm super excited. I don't know much about the Matrix movie. What I do know is Lana Wachowski is executive producing, which is fucking dope. Neither of the Wachowskis are directing the movie, which I think is a good change overall for the series. I think it's good for it to have a fresh, it's at the point, it's 25 years now. There's people who grew up watching the Matrix series and have, I'm sure, tons of ideas. I consider myself to be one of those people, but not at the level where I direct a Matrix movie. The interesting thing is the person who's directing it, they heavily associate them with The Martian, but it's not the director of The Martian because that was Ridley Scott.
No, it's Drew Goddard, and he was the screenwriter for The Martian. He is also writing the script for this one, so maybe that's how they
That
were
makes you
sort
feel
of
good.
tying that together. And he's going to be producing with his partner at Goddard Textiles, Sarah Esberg. So
Does Drew Goddard have previous directorial experience?
He does, but it's interesting. Do you know what he directed?
He directed Poor Things. That was Stone. What did he direct?
He directed Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, that's great. We love that.
Well, yeah, it's amazing, and it's a nice like a weird like pulling apart and like reusing of or like re-examination of horror tropes, which is appropriate since yesterday we were talking about the scary movies that we watched way too young. By the way, I in the Spotify poll for the day, I asked people what they saw way too young. And holy shit, our audience is unhinged. We're all mentally unstable.
What's the worst thing that you saw?
It's just all the worst thing I saw.
No, in the list of people.
Oh,
responses.
I mean, it's everything. It's all the like the classic horror films that you see when you're like they're watching on the stairs at like 5 that you weren't supposed to see. And
I watched Dawn of the Dead from behind a
Destinations.
recliner while my brother had a sleepover. I watched it, the entire thing, gripping the back of my dad's recliner, just staring with just my two eyes over the top like a crocodile, watching the movie.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see what he does with this. Also, he's done a lot of like producing and writing that I didn't realize that he did. So I'm interested to see what he has to say about The Matrix.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. He did a great. It's essentially at this point, it's fair to call it adapted material. I mean, I think really once you get into at least the second or third sequel, it's adapted at that point, right? Because you're dealing with established characters and you're writing a new story. It feels like an adapted work. I bring that up because
according to Barbie, the Barbie gate as far for the Academy Awards, yeah, it's adapted.
Yeah, and he did a fantastic job. I bring it up because he did a great job adapting The Martian into something it's essentially like a survival math book, and he turned it into something that you would want to watch on a screen.
Speaking of The Martian.
Go ahead.
You know they're making.
This is my kind of podcast. I'm having a great week, by the way. I've got Matrix meets The Martian. I've got Left 4 Dead meets Sea of Thieves yesterday. Everything's great. It's all coming up Burnie this week.
Well, they're also making a Project Hail Mary movie.
I saw that.
With Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, he optioned the book a long time ago.
Really?
Yeah, almost as soon as it came out, I think. Well, I mean, Andy Weir, he wrote Martian. It then went on to become a huge hit with Matt Damon. And then, he puts out another book. Of course, someone's going to option it. Just makes sense to do that.
Yeah, but it's interesting that it's also being directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Okay.
How do you feel about them directing that project? You think that'll work?
I feel like I know exactly who those directors are, and I have strong opinions because I have such a wealth of knowledge about them.
Because they were the Lego movie guys.
Oh, those guys, of course. I think, listen, when Lego's like Barbie to me. When someone said they were making the Lego movie, I'm like, what the fuck are they going to do with this? Like, how are they going to make a Lego movie?
This is going to be awful.
It might as well be a blank slate, right? And then they did a great job with it, and it was great. There was some weirdness with everything is awesome. Like, it was counter to a normal kids thing. Like, you're not supposed to work and be part of a team. It was like an anti-system, thing. But it was kind of weird for a kids movie to be like, oh, you're a sucker if you work with other people and you're part of a team. It's like, wait, I thought we taught people to work. What are we doing now? Somebody tell me what we're doing.
Yeah, although I do feel like it leaned a little bit more towards the you don't have to be like everyone else. You can just be you, and that's okay. That's fine. That's great.
Yeah, as long as you're born with a great destiny.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Then you'll be fine.
As long as you get a Craggle glued to your back. But I was always interested to see what the Solo movie would have been like if they remained at the helm.
Oh,
do you remember they were attached to that for a long time, and then it wasn't working out.
I'm curious what would have happened if the Game of Thrones guys would have had a shot at a Star Wars movie, because they were great. They've been great with adapted material. I just finished 3 Body Problem. Thought it was great. Had no issues with it. You know what I mean?
But that's assuming whatever they were going to be working on was already written.
There's a really weird thing too, because they come up with this. I need to go back and reread the first book, because the second and third one are so completely heady. It's like you had to drill through that to get back to the first one. But there's a character in it where they just introduce a character in it called the Wall Facer. I couldn't possibly spoil this because it would take too long to explain what it is. But for those of you who are familiar with the book and the show, it seems like the Irish guy is a wall facer, like the way they're presented in the book. Later on, they actually show what the wall facers do. But there's this guy. It's the guy who plays the Onion Knight from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, okay.
Unfortunately, I don't know the name of the actor off the top of my head, but he chews up the screen, man. He is so great in this role. I'm so glad they worked with that guy again. So I really enjoyed 3 Body Problem. I recommend you watch it. And if you've liked the Netflix series, I can't necessarily recommend you go and read the book, because it might kind of lose you a little bit.
Right, because then she showed him her boobs.
They did well, that's later. They did a great job of adapting it. But the character we were talking about all those episodes ago of then she showed him her boobs, that like nice guy character, he's actually in the first season. Like the nice guy.
All right.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we've been talking a lot about like Disney adjacent stuff.
Can I drop a little fact about Martian?
Please
before
do.
we move away. Martian has a weird distinction in that they were really renowned, and this is, I think, plays into the screenplay, but then also the way it was directed. They were renowned for getting away with saying 2 F-bombs in a PG-13 movie. Very, very creatively got that in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's one of the first things. We'll link the article, but I don't know. It's interesting to me that was something that people were talking about for The Martian when it was out back in 2015 or whatever.
Great job, guys.
Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah. Listen, I'm a big fan of the movie. I love the book and I love the movie. Anyway, what are you going to talk about?
So have you been following this Disney board proxy war?
Not really. No.
I've been seeing a lot about it, and I've been mostly confused because I don't know what that means. And there's been a lot of people talking about like activist investor Nelson Peltz, and I'm like, what does that mean? Because to me, activist calls to mind like this is a person who is investing because they want the company to be responsible and, I don't know, recycle a lot and do, carbon sustainable activities, like that kind of like cool. And I was like, man, an activist like investor sounds like a great idea. I looked it up. Nope, it's fucking not.
What is an activist investor?
So what it means is basically like they want to change the way things are done. But an activist investor is like, let's be like, think the activists, like we want to do all the things, but capitalist.
Oh, so like an agro investor, basically.
Yes. Like they try and like buy up shares and then change the way the company runs.
When you say that, you know what I think of when you talk about an activist investor, like buying up stock, just makes me think of Elon Musk and Twitter, and we all know how that worked out.
Yeah. So it's been really interesting, but it's been a really public fight. Apparently, because Disney has a higher than average number of retail investors who have a voting say, so they've been making this whole thing a lot more public than these proxy fights usually are. And one of them was a really weird thing where Peltz told the Financial Times, he was the one, you may have heard this recently, who's saying, "Why do I have to have a Marvel that's all women?"
Oh my God.
Those are words that he said out loud.
In public. Yeah,
in
nice.
public to the Financial Times. And so I think what he was trying to do is like he wants to like pull back a lot of that stuff, change what they're doing with ESPN. He said he wanted Netflix like margins in streaming as soon as possible. It was a laundry list of things that they wanted to change, which is interesting because a lot of those changes old CEO Bob Iger has already been working towards.
Yeah.
So, and now now Peltz is claiming that while he's been having this fight and basically forcing Disney in this direction, that they sort of got what they wanted anyway because the stocks are up and they've been making progress on these things.
Can I just say, honestly,
so weird.
When people like start talking about Disney, I have such a strong reaction to like Disney adults that I just kind of check out on Disney because I know people have really, really strong opinions of Disney. Like, when Bob Iger came back, everyone on Twitter was like so excited, and this was going to completely change the parks and everything else. I just spend almost no part of my day thinking about that stuff.
I think a lot less about the parks, but where I guess count as a Disney adult is that I do enjoy Marvel stuff. And one of the things that you'll have noticed since Bob Iger came back is he's pared down a lot of what they're doing. And focusing a lot less on the quantity and a lot more on trying to get the Marvel, the MCU back on track.
You know, I would really like to see remastered versions of The Matrix. And I was hoping when they did 4 was weird. That was like a COVID fever dream because Matrix 4 came out like remember that year when everything was on streaming and they wouldn't put anything out in theaters?
Yeah.
But there was that weird period where like Scarlett Johansson sued Disney because they put Black Widow, they put her movie straight on streaming and didn't put it in theaters, or was it subsequent?
It was
concurrent.
It was a contract dispute about how much time it was supposed to have in the residuals. I think she was supposed to get as a result of the theatrical run.
Yeah.
That they were diminishing by not doing a theater exclusive
or all
release.
That day and date stuff they were doing at the time.
Yeah.
Which personally I think is the future of all this stuff. But it just seems now we're back to the old way where stuff goes into theaters. We wait a little while and then it becomes like the home video chain of either, they don't do discs anymore, but, streaming or whatever it is.
It does, although that window has narrowed a lot.
Yeah, it's narrowed quite a bit. Although there is a rental window too. I was actually surprised to see Warner's is releasing the final installment of Red vs. Blue. And they've said now the runtime of it is sub 90 minutes. Red versus Blue Restoration. It's going to go for sale on May 7th, and then it'll wait a few weeks, and then it'll be available for rental. So it's kind of like this old classic model. And
All
then
right.
I guess at some point it'll go to streaming somewhere. That is at this point out of everyone's control. We'll see what happens to it.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
We got one. Let's go. We're turning everything around, everybody.
I'm your number one fan.
And then it'll be, somebody even wrote to me. I was talking with Nathan Zellner, who does have a movie. He's supposed to send me the dates of everything, but Sasquatch Sunset, the Jesse Eisenberg Sasquatch movie that they made is currently making the rounds as like press screenings and exclusive screenings and things like that. But I'm pretty sure it's next week or the week after people will be able to see it in a limited release. And we'll have more to talk about as we get closer to that.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Big fans of the Zellner brothers. I love every single thing they do, and I have for like 25 years now. Longer than I've liked the first Matrix movie. Yeah, I used to work at a TV station in the basement of a movie theater at the University of Texas, and I was a computer science student. And at some point, I convinced them to hire me to where then they got a key to the place, and I would just go there and do my homework all night while film students could come and edit. They'd use the edit bays. If I didn't have anything to do, if I wasn't editing anything myself, I figured why not just let them use the equipment all night? So I would just go and study and let them use it. And David Zellner was one of those guys.
Look at you, just being the university TV big brother.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise the equipment, which was hard to get back then. I mean, there was no you couldn't edit a video on your computer at home. There's just no way to do that. You could barely look at a JPEG, for God's sake. And why not just let them use it? And that was from an experience Matt and I had when we made our first movie, where we went to try to go use the Avid bays, which were the first nonlinear editors, and only the grad students had access to Avid systems. And we would kind of lurk the hallways trying to figure out if we could get it. And we literally got shoot away, like rats with a broom. You know what I mean? They're like, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here.
I'm just picturing you trailing someone in the doors.
We kind of, yeah. What do they call that? Tailgating?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you go in after somebody. All right, well, before we get too far, I do want to say thank you to Jeff L. for making this episode of our podcast ad-free for the rest of our listeners. Thank you very much, Jeff. Champion among people.
I heard that Jeff
Go
is
ahead.
the one.
Yeah. Whoa. But I have that saying a drop here. I got to call myself out on something here, Ash.
Okay, go ahead.
I fucked up.
All right. Be accountable. Here comes accountability.
I have built a great tool that I love. And it is a tool that allows me to look up anything we've ever talked about on the podcast, because we do 20 minutes a day. So I can look up, see whenever we've talked about something before. And one of the things I use it for is to track the drop at the beginning of the show to make sure I don't repeat them. Guess what I did?
You did a repeat.
I didn't even check the tool. I had it and I didn't. You know what I repeated?
What did you repeat?
It's some serious gourmet shit.
I fucked up and
Wait, we've used that more than once?
Yeah, the last time we used it, according to my tool, the last time that I did that was on February 28th.
That's not. Here's the thing.
That's a repeat. That's a repeat.
It's a repeat, but this is a week daily show. There's going to be a lot of drops. Eventually, there's going to be repeats.
And you
know what?
I still hold myself accountable, Ashley.
And that one's some gourmet shit.
So also on March 6th, I told the story about having keys to the television station. All right, so guess what's getting cut later? Already talked about that. All right, anything else to discuss on this lovely Thursday, Ashley, before we send people out to the penultimate day of this week?
Look, guys, just be strong. Get out there. Win your board proxy fight. You can do it. I believe in you.
What is your poll going to be today? It's like, what is your favorite Matrix movie? Let me rank them for you real quick. Here's my favorite Matrix movie is in order. At number 1, we have number 1. At number 2 is the second one. At number 3 is the third one. And coming in at number 4 is John Wick. All right, well, that does it for us today, April 4th, 2024. We will be back to talk to you one more time this week, and we hope you'll be here as well.
Bye, everybody.